There are. Namaskar. Welcome to another edition of Navimash podcast. So today again we are back with another episode. So this is a very specific episode that we were working on for last a month, where we had one of our uh, acquaintance reached out to the people of Dhulian in Murshidabad who had suffered a lot of trauma, violent trauma, uh, during the unrest which happened during the protest. So we're going to talk about this. So we will have Dr. Vijay Santa and Shako Singh with us in a few minutes, and we'll also be we also right now we have with us Dibjani Bhattacharya. She's also a social worker. She works with a lot of organizations who work with people who, in terms of people who suffered violence, people who need help, people from the economically weaker sections. So, namaskar, Diganidhi. Yeah, Diganidhi. So, let our two guests join in a few minutes. We can start with you. So, could you tell me a little bit more about, correct, you are aware of the happenings in Dhuli and Murshidabad and what happened, and the whole media, including international media, reported it. So, as a social worker who works with people who are need help, what was your perception? What was your emotions? What were your thoughts while this was being reported in media? So, just to give a perspective from your as well.
Yes, actually, what I can say that this is a very shocking moment for all of us, and especially the Hindus of Bengal. We are facing this sort of attack systematically. We are facing it from before partition. It started in 1946, if we precisely remember. Then it started in on 16th August 1946. And ever since that time, this sort of attacks are continuing against the Hindu Bengalis and the Hindus of Bengal intermittently at different times. It happened in 1946, it happened in 1948, happened in 1950, it happened in 1964, it happened in 1971, it happened in mid 80s, it happened in the beginning of 2000, it happened even later. It's continuing against us. And uh, as we can see that in last 14 years, even West Bengal has started feeling the same hit in last 14 years. So this time when the violence broke out in Mothabari, Malda, that time also the attacks were made against the people of the Hindu community, specifically against the people of the Hindu community. This is the most unsettling feeling that comes to my mind when I see that a set of people attacks specifically Hindus, specifically the people of a particular community, then it is really disturbing and unsettling. And similarly, in this case also, first it happened in Mothabari, Malda in on 26th March, and then it started in Murshidabad, to be precise, on April 11. It was actually happening, as we saw in the media also, that the Muslim community was protesting against the Waqf Act. So, protest is a democratic right. In a democracy, protest is as normal as anything. So they were protesting. They started the protest the day the bill was passed in Rajya Sabha on 4th April. The Muslims came on the street in Park Circus, Kolkata. And that day the protest was absolutely peaceful. There was no problems in the city. Only there was traffic jam. And then the day the bill was signed by the President of India, that is 8th April, the protest started in Jogipur, Murshidabad. And that was a devastating protest. They started with burning police vehicles, public vehicles. They started with destroying public properties, government properties. And then the protest came in Kolkata. The Jamiyat-e Ulema, they came on Kolkata streets with a huge rally and then basically suffocating the city. Still, even then, it was a protest activity. In a democracy, protest is absolutely normal. On 11th April, in the afternoon, the police was handling a violent mob. It has been reported in the media that the police had the intelligence information that they will be targeted. The police knew that the police itself will be targeted with different sorts of weapons. So the mob was carrying weapons. Such type of intelligence report was there, and it has been reported in the media also. So the police tried to handle the violent mob, and then a particular Muslim man, Ijaz Momin, as reported in various media, Ijaz Momin got shot by the police. Police fired at him. And it is only after that death the mob went, violent. And they targeted specifically the Hindus. They should have, I mean, if it was a protest against the police firing on Momin, then the violent mob could have come on the police force. But that didn't happen. They targeted the handful of Hindus in Dhulian. If we look at the data, the census data, then as per 2011 census, that Shamsherganj assembly constituency has 60% Muslims and the rest are Hindus. And by in all these years, after 2011, 14 more years have passed. So the Muslim percentage must be higher. So number of Hindus is very handful. But even then, they targeted those Hindus. That was really unsettling, and I couldn't understand why did the violent mob do it at all. Why at all? I mean, that is the question we must raise to us, to the civil society. What did the Hindus do? The anger, I can understand. The protest was against the act. It can always, someone may not like a law, may not like, but I personally feel the people, the Muslim community people are being misled regarding the work of act. But even if that be so, even if they are angry, why did they target the Hindus, the common Hindus, those who are their neighbors? It has been heard that it has been covered by the media that the Hindu houses were ink marked. And who helped to mark their houses? Their own Muslim neighbors. I mean, the story that we have heard about Kashmir, that the neighbors themselves help the people, the perpetrators to identify which houses belong to the Hindus, and accordingly, those houses have been targeted. And then those women, I can always imagine those women in that kind of a situation, they're leaving everything and going away from their own house, and their house gets completely torched and smashed in a way so that when they come back, they don't identify which was my house. Where was it located? Where are the papers? How can I prove that this is my property? So putting yourself in that, every sane person will have to imagine this situation that suddenly a group of marauders come and burned my properties, all my papers. I am not left with anything. Even somebody had kept some amount of cash money in his house. That cash also got burned. I'm left with nothing suddenly. Why is that? I mean, nobody can understand. And then they crossed Dhulian, the Ganga, crossed Ganga and reached Malda, where the refugee camp was settled. That was a pathetic scene. That was truly pathetic, I would say, Bhupendra.
Yeah, thank you, Didi, for giving because it's the story has died down in the media. So give us as a refresher what really happened. So we are going to now go back to Shakko Singho. Uh, like he had actually went there to the people who suffered these atrocities during those days, and we're going to hear from him what was his experience meeting those people whom we have seen in the media talk about. Have seen in them in the social media, in the pictures, in the newspapers, maybe in the magazines, maybe in TV interviews, but we have not met those people who were going through this suffering. So Shako Singho actually has been to that place. He has spoken. He has actually experienced the plight, the pain that we cannot do while just watching the social media or watching pictures. So namaskar, Mr. Shako Singho.
Namaskar, everybody. First of all,
You
I would,
your audio is little
hello.
bit less. Let me just check. Your audio is. Let me just see if I can increase your audio. Okay. Can you speak now?
Yes, can you hear clearly?
Continue speaking. Continue speaking.
Okay. First of all, uh, it would be better for me if I speak in Bengali. Can I do that? Can I speak Bengali?
Yes, you can do it in Bengali, but generally we are doing this episode for people actually who are outside Bengal, who may not have seen, who may have seen the carnage which happened, but they may not be knowing that okay, people have been there to support them, help them as a social society groups. So if you can do it in English, that would be a little bit better because this is a message to the greater audience beyond West Bengal, so that these people are not helpless, just being there. So that is my request, but it's up to you.
Okay. I will try to speak in English as much as possible.
Sure, sure.
The
Thank you.
thing is, um I went to actually to three mostly affected villages in India. One is Betpona that you probably know, and another is Digri, and another one is Jafraganj. And I went there last Monday with an NGO named Chhatrapati Shivaji Welfare Trust and NMO Bengal, National Medicals Organization. And we were 25 people who actually went there for at least 8 hours. We spent 8 to 10 hours down there, helping around 175 uh, families whose family and whose house is completely burned because of these riots. Now, the thing is, as the gentleman has already mentioned, these things are actually true. But I want to, go into what was the backdrop of this incident. Okay, so initially when we asked those, women, local women, that what happened with you and why this thing happened, they cordially named certain people.
Yes, continue. Uh, yeah, we are not able to get your audio. Are you speaking? Hello?
Speak me now. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead.
okay, sorry. Sorry for the interruption. The thing is,
Hmm.
the thing is that they cordially named certain people. Like for
Hmm.
example, Initially, when this riot start on Friday night, first the local councillor, whose infamous video was there in Jammu, he actually came to Vedbona and tried to talk to the local people who were actually attacking these villages. Okay. And they had a talk of like 10 to 15 minutes, and then Injamul left that place. And after that, a carnage happened in those two villages. That's my first point. And this is the local TMC leader, councillor to us. The next morning, this guy named Mehboob, he's probably also another TMC leader. He came and actually tried to see what carnage has happened, what kind of atrocities that has happened. He roamed around the entire village, talked with people, and specifically those women actually mentioned that he has no remorse. He is not saying sorry. He just went around, and there was one certain incident where he stood in front of one house, and he directly said, "Arey, ঘরটা কিন্তু কিছুই হয়নি." That means nothing happened in this house. So after Mehboob left on Saturday morning, sir, 30 minutes after that, the second wave of carnage came to these villages. So this is the omen of those villages. That is their opinion regarding who actually did that. And regarding police, they tried to call police for 4 hours, 4 hours at a stretch. Initially, police of Samsirganj responded like, "What has happened? Is there anything wrong?" And then they asked whether anybody is killed yet. If anybody has killed, anybody has died, then they will interfere. So these were two incidents that I'm mentioning. Now, being somewhat skeptical in my mind, I went deep into this, and I actually talked with the local boys and young men who were working outside this village, who were like luckily or unluckily present in that village in that those Friday and Saturday was the incident. They were present in the village, but previously they have worked outside Julia. So they mentioned that for 4 months they actually knew that this kind of thing might happen because there were many incidents, many people they were talking around Muslim people. They were very practically speaking that look, everything is ours. The leaders is ours, the police is ours. You cannot do anything. And this is 4 months before that incident. Then they also mentioned about two people, specifically one Habibul, that is a Maulana, who came to Dhulian at least 15 days before this incident, during this walk of protest and everything was happening in India, walk of protest. He cordially mentioned that this guy, Habibul Maulana, is from Bangladesh. And another guy is the advocate Mufakkirul Islam. He specifically mentions was Mufakkirul because after Mufakkirul's, fiery speech, these all people got, fired up. So if we actually want to know who were people behind it, there are many names. And there is another record that I want to mention here. This is all, references, all things are coming from the village Bedbona. When we went to Digiri, in Digiri there is specific, aged person of like 45 years who has, lost his house and his wholesale dukan because of this riots. He told me one very interesting. He said, "You have no clue what is happening here. PFI is actively present in these parts of Murshidabad and Malda." Well, how can you say that? He said, "I have actually, some of these people are actually my friends, my classmates. They talk to me directly. That there is PFI. There is PFI in the masjid and we like it. We talk to them." So the thing is, it's not just that the local people were, fired up overnight. It was a planned incident. More importantly, I asked many people. You can even understand by the report that I just few minutes ago I sent it. Um, I talked with the elder women and elder men of the villages. Like, do you have any kind of previous incidents like this? Like, have you felt this kind of atrocities before? They said very clearly no. These people who are now looting our homes, these people used to come to our dukans and used to take goods, like, buying goods for us, from us. So we had a cordial relation, and we actually never thought, this is the documentation of Jafraganj, I guess. They clearly told me that we had no clue. We thought this kind of thing had happened previously in different parts, other parts of West Bengal, in Belanga, as you know, like 3 to 4 months before. We have heard this kind of stories, but we were quite sure nothing nothing like this can happen to our place. So, like any decent and gullible Hindu population, they always believe that these people are with them. Last time I was mentioned that in the village of Haragobindo Das, that is Jafra, his neighbor was very explicit, and he was the person who actually told us, narrated us the entire story. Can you imagine the Haragobindo Das's house, that infamous door of his house, was attacked 4 times, 4 times, and it happened over at least 6 hours, like started from the morning and continued till at 2 p.m. around. There was no idea of police. Then on the last phase of that attack, they came with the axe, kuthar in Bengal, and then they broke that wooden door. They took out Haragobindo Das, and with that axe they killed him. And the poor son of Haragobindo Das did not die because of brutal attack. He died because he bled to death. There was nothing to take him out of that village, because every transport from that village, being auto or one single bolero was there in that Jafraganj village, it was completely burnt. There was a systematic attack that happened in Jafraganj and Digri, where initially they came and they destroyed the tube call, the local water system, and they destroyed the electrical wires. First, they destroyed that. Then they looted the entire village, and then they burned. And when the burning was happening, they realized why they were actually destroying the water and the water places, tube calls and everything of the village, so that you cannot, water the fire. You can give water to the fire. That's the atrocity. And regarding girls, there is one incident of this army officer which was definitely mentioned in media, but his sister was, there was a কি বলে ওটাকে, মানে রশ্মি খেলা হচ্ছিল সেই মেয়েটাকে নিয়ে. One hand of that poor girl was taken by the jihadis, and the other hand was taken by the villagers. They were pulling them. When the atrocity happened, the villagers are describing this, that only 250 villagers were present in Bedbona, and they were attacked by at least 2,000 people. When they were protecting one place, they were going to one place, trying to, take them back from one side. They were attacking from another one. So can you feel? And they're calling repeatedly the police, the damkal, everything, and nobody is responding. Nobody. And I must tell you one thing: when you go to, how deep rooted this problem is, I won't mention who told me this, but I can say you this thing very clearly. The person who told me, I was not expecting him to tell this. He clearly told me that AGC, who was, on duty when the initial riot was happening, AGC was asked, AGC asked, the present day police minister, that, madam, what should we do? The response from the state government was, do nothing. And later on, these police people actually told the villagers, দেখো মা, আমাদের হাত পা বাঁধা, our hands are tied. There is many people who actually refer that BSF is our Bhagwan, because BSF saved them. Actually, they saved them. There are many families that I have met who were taken back to this, Dak Bangla mode by the village, by the BSF. Police was not there. They even, after Saturday, they called police and said, please escort us. There was one family whose young boy was carrying his father, walking to this Dak Bangla. It is almost 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers away from these 3 villages. He walked him. There was not a single Musalman who came and gave him a toto. I understand that riot had happened there and many bad Muslims who actually did this. I was expecting some good Muslims to help them now. You should expect that. No, there was none. And when I asked these villagers that why there is no Muslim was helping you, they laughed at me. These Hindu villagers laughed at me. How boy, how can you expect that? They were they were burning our house. That's the story. And as I guess this esteemed panel also knows atrocity that Muslims can do and the atrocities they have done in 1987, 1974 and 71. They have read about it, probably they have read much more about this than me. But I guess they will recur with me that this is the first stage of Islamic violence. The next stage is yet to come. The next stage is yet to come. If that's my, description of my,
Yes.
going
So,
towards.
hmm, thank you. I think,
Yeah,
yep, please.
Bhupendra,
Yeah. Hmm.
I will like to say one what I heard Shaku Singh was saying it. He's shocked. We are also shocked. Humanity will get shocked. I will tell you this particular pattern that first attacking the water line, water connection, and the electricity connection. This is a particular pattern that they had displayed during the post-poll violence in 2021 too. Then also, these type of people burst into the houses of the people, and then first they targeted the water supply line and the electricity supply line and their identity cards. The first thing that they snatch, because this is a pattern and the same pattern is being repeated. And as this Shakushin who said it absolutely correct that PFI is present, I want to share a few information here for all that which can make people understand that how true Shakushingo is. Like first thing, these are all reported facts, reported and available in public domain. Dhulian is highly supplied with sleeper cells of various terror organizations like Jamaatul Mujahideen, Bangladesh, Dhulian model. There's one model of JMB called Dhulian model, and then Ansarullah Bangla. All these terror organization sleeper cells are present there. And if we remember that Bodh Gaya blast in 2018, one suspect was arrested from nowhere else but Dhulian. NIA arrested, not NIA, but the STF of West Bengal police had arrested him from Dhulian itself, Abdul Rahim. He was a local of Dhulian. And then in October last year, there is one Islamic Youth Federation. This organization turned hyperactive in different state universities of West Bengal and they were propagating the Islamic doctrine. They said that everyone should come and adopt, uh, they should not worship fake gods and come to the true faith. So they were actually, and they organized a conference in Noor Muhammad Smriti Vidyalaya of Dhulian itself. And then if you go to February 2022 back, then PFI had organized their big open conference, open convention in Dhulian itself. So PFI was operating from there and the organization has got banned, but the people are still there. And the design of heckling women, what we have seen in Mothabari. Mothabari also, the report was, it is reported fact that the women were asked to remove Shakha Paula, remove Shidur. The women were being heckled, targeted by Islamists and saying that we will break your Shakha Paula and remove Shidur. And then again in Murshidabad, the same thing happened to women. They said that you sleep with the Islamists, let your husbands get slaughtered. and remove Shankapala. The same design was seen in West Bengal way back in 2013 in Canning, South 24 Parganas. And the same design is a Jamaat design of Bangladesh, which was seen in 2001-2 during the reign of BNP, Khalida Jia. The same thing happened in Bangladesh also. The Hindu women couldn't come out wearing bindi and shakhapola. The same design is being observed here, the Jamaat design. And the Shakushing was, he said that someone came from Bangladesh, some cleric came from Bangladesh and rendered fiery speech. That means this Jamaat is overactive at that place. It's a Jamaat design. And what is Jamaat? Jamaat-e-Islami, what is it? Its motive. Its motive is to convert people into Islam. That is their motive and then declared motive. So now, if you look at them, they came to Murshidabad, also asked people to convert. And during post-poll violence, also, group of women were crying to the then governor Jagdeep Dhankar and saying that, "Save us, sir. If needed, we are also ready to change religion." This is a Jamaat pattern, and if we look at the ruling party, it as Injamul and all these Mehboob, and these are very small fries. These people are small fries. There are bigger people associated with such radical organizations who are radicalizing the youth. That is the problem of Bangladesh also. That is why they can get instigated so easily by some misleading, speeches and radicalizing and incendiary speeches that they get excited. It is possible because they are being radicalized regularly. And if we, what I felt is the people were trying to incite the mob from 8th of April. And after the Ijaz Momin was shot by the police, then only it started. So maybe Ijaz Momin was shot deliberately to incite the mob. And this is also a Jamaat design. You never know who had shot Ijaz Momin. It is said that he was hurt by police firing because the police was trying to control the violent mob, and eventually, in police firing, Ijaz Momin was hurt. You never know who actually had hurt him. And it is only after that that rampage started. BSF came in on April 11 at around 8:30, not before that. The local police had called BSF, but in the media, the DM of Murshidabad had called for BSF, but DM Murshidabad didn't inform it to the media. It was informed to the media by Nilotpal Pandey, PRO of BSF itself, South Bengal. That means what Shakku Singh was saying, perhaps police and administration was also pressurized of not to take any action. That is why they called BSF, but they didn't inform to the media. It's a it's a planned and premeditated. I have written two pieces on this matter, and it seems absolutely a premeditated. Nothing, anything sudden. That's what I.
Yeah, thank you, Didi. Thank you for your insights into this. We'll try to play one audio clip that we had actually talked to one individual from the same place, and let's see if we can play it. It's in Bengali, so we'll do some translation. Will be done by Mr. Shakto Singh. Let's try to play this. I have already shared the pictures which were there when Shakto Singh was speaking of the events which took place. Let me see if I can play it. Let's see if it works. There is some things which needs to be fixed out, but let's see. Is audio coming? No, I don't think audio is coming. Okay, I think the audio cannot be played. So we'll go back to Chako Shingo if he has anything else to add here, and then we'll go to Dr. Bijit Santa.
Uh, I want to add here.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Ma'am is very, ma'am, Vijani ma'am told all these things with a very higher perspective and, with a very good insight. And she actually knows the greater picture. My point was, there is some insight that I got. Like when I asked the neighbors of Horogovinda Das, I asked them after they killed these poor father and son duo, where they went. So this guy mentions that they went towards this, bagan, and they went towards border. So I said towards border. Yes. In Bengal, he said, "Are ওদের তো স্যার ল্যাঙ্গট ছাড়া কিছু নেই. They just go." Matlab, what he meant is that they do not have anything to carry. They can just go from there. Sir. So then I asked that, didn't you people tried to actually locate him? Like, where he actually went? Do you know where beyond this bagan? What is there? So he told me that, sir, these are Muslim bastis, and we actually do not go there. Now, the point where I am standing from there, Bengal border, India border, and Bangladesh border is like 10 kilometers. So for 10 kilometers, the local Hindu population has no clue who are there in these 10 kilometers. And they say that there is a settlement. There is a basti. I asked, are these people, do you know these people? Like, you have any clue from where they came? He said, sir, in my younger days, I'm 34-year old. So yeah, my younger days when I was 10 to 12 years, I used to play with some of these people. I knew some of them. But now their population has increased so much that we cannot even go there. So my point that I took from this conversation was there are vast area of border with Bangladesh that we actually have no clue about who are there, who are settled in those places. So it might be that as previously Tathagato sir has mentioned in his famous tweet that Bengali Muslims reproduce a lot than Hindu population. That might be true, but even if counting that, there is a huge immigrant population, not immigrant, illegal immigrants that came from Bangladesh. That is something that I also felt down there. That's why their population, like in 2021, it was 40% Hindu population in Shamshan West. I don't think there is 40% Hindu there down there. It is at least 80% Muslim and 20% Hindu. That the things that I have seen on those places. There is only 25 families of Hindus. They're completely surrounded by the Muslim population. So that is one thing that I took from my point. That's it.
Yes, we will come back to you for the last portion of our show, and now we'll go back to Dr. Bijit Prasanta. Bijit da, are you available? Bijit da, can you hear us? Your video is lagging, so if you can turn off the video, it would be fine. All right. Okay. Looks like Vijitda is having some technical issue. Okay. What we'll do is we'll continue with Shako Shinho. So one thing that actually we had discussed, okay, and that was this very important to discuss, and that is regarding the people. Correct. So you went to. I had shared the pictures to the audience. Okay. Let's see. Vijitda. Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
Vijitda. Yes, yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay,
Hmm.
thanks.
Okay. Yeah. So let's continue with you. So now we heard from Shakto Singh, we heard from Debjanidhi with regard to the current perspective, current political and social understanding what we have now, as of now. From you, you have written a book called Hindus and Hindu Mafia, where you document 1,000 years of Hindu genocides, which were happening for 1,000 years from the northern frontiers to the eastern frontiers of India's borders. So, from your perspective, historically, if you see the eastern part of India, which consists of West Bengal, Assam, and northern regions, the Bengali and the Bengali Hindus were a major portion of this population, and they had to migrate from 35 onwards, 47, 46, 47, then 71, then 2001, and now 5th August. So could you give us a bit of snapshot of this migration of Hindus from their own homelands, as we had mentioned in our title?
Right, specifically in Bengal or overall, you're
So,
saying in Bengal, right?
especially in the eastern region itself, Bengal would be
Eastern.
primary. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Right, you know that overall the migration of Hindus, or if you can call the nature worshippers, right? In the history of genocide and in the history of Exodus, it is a very long history, more than 1,000 year long history. Um, yeah, probably it started in like in Europe or around Constantinople, for example, where I mean specifically probably after the conversion of Constantine the Great. But I'm not going to go in that detail. I'm going to discuss right now the history of our united Bengal, so to say, um, um, if that idea still exists at all, and if that idea is still benevolent for humanity. Anyway, so the point is, yeah, you know that in 1905 there was an attempt to divide Bengal that got foiled, right? That attempt, and so the capital was actually relocated to Delhi. But you have to remember, even in 1940s, Calcutta was probably the second most important city of the British Empire after London. Um, and other than that, one more thing is that you have to understand the whole political dynamics that was going on at that time. So obviously there was this Muslim League who wanted to create different stans, right? Pakistan, Mughalistan, Osmanistan, and whatnot. And so for Pakistan, so they were like, well, there is this eastern part of Bengal, and then there was this northwest frontier. I mean, the current Pakistan right now. So there was this Muslim League politics. Then entered the communism. Then entered Jogen Mondal with Tapasili Party and the whole Namasudra politics. And I mean, during 1930s, Dhaka. I mean, 1935, 37, Dhaka University became a very hot place for the fight among all these sort of powers, all these political ideologies that wanted to rule this part of India. So in this context, it was Communist Party that tried to break India into, I think, 18 different fragments. And then there was this Jogen Mondal who was creating a very vertical split between the so-called upper caste and so-called lower caste community within Bengali. And that idea, if you read the book of Kalidas Buddha, for example, I mean, this idea that Hindu society has to be broken apart in two segments, in so-called upper caste and so-called lower caste. It was really gaining ground even in remote villages of Bengal, and that led to a lot of clashes. And yeah, and so overall, the sort of police administrations at that time, because they were pro-Muslim, and it is actually documented. The judiciary was in a way pro-Muslim, and Muslim appeasing in a way. because they wanted to appease that segment of Bharat which had the potential to create the most nuisance on the street and elsewhere. So obviously, the police and the judiciary, everything was sort of Muslim appeasing. The Bengali Hindus were going through this split. And you have to understand one more thing, which is that the Congress, right? At that point, there were four main provinces which had a huge say in Indian politics. One was the United Province, another was Punjab, third one was Bengal, and fourth one was Maharashtra. Now, what might have gone through Jawaharlal Nehru is that, or Congress at by large, would have been that because Bengal and Punjab had such huge say in Indian politics, probably Nehru had the plan to partition Punjab and Bengal. In support of this claim, I have something from Ram Manohar Lohiya's book, The Guilty Men of India's Partition, where Ram Manohar Lohia is saying ki Mr. Nehru spoke of the water, slime, bush, and tree that he found everywhere in East Bengal. Nehru said that was not India that he or I means Lohia knew, and wanted with some vehemence to cut East Bengal away from the mainland of India. So, which means ki Nehru already decided that he need to sort of break apart this Bengal and also Punjab in order to dominate with that so-called Hindi speaking, if you can call it cowbell politics at all, with that united province kind of politics. So the interest of here you can see that the interest of Congress, the interest of overall Islam, and the interest of the Western power actually merged, and that led to this hadsa of partition, right? So I can go on discussing 1946 Direct Action Day, which is where you know that places like Nakhoda Masjid, for example, in Kolkata. I have credible references in my book which shows that this Nakhoda Mosque was used because it is at the heart of Calcutta, right? It was used to save the arms and ammunitions, which were later used in the Great Calcutta killings. And then you know that what happened at that time ki all the top officers in Kolkata, many of them were Hindu, they were transferred, and in their place some of the Muslim officers from places like modern day Pakistan and Punjab, they came in Kolkata. So effectively, the whole upper administration, if you can call it, that become pro-Muslim. Surawardi was then the prime minister, and the whole thing took place. It was a very much premeditated plan because they wanted to sort of conquer Kolkata, which was the crown jewel of the British Empire. And you know that along with that, there was then the partition happened, obviously. You know about other things like Noakhali genocide, where which when Gandhi was there, then the partition was being discussed. Nehru did not write to Gandhi, and sort of this plan to divide India was decided. I'm just trying to go very fast. There is so many instances, and you know that history is repeated. I mean, whatever Devjanidhi and Shakpo discussed here, um, it was pretty much the same pattern. You know, the same sort of fear mongering, same sort of slogan कि शाखा पोला भेंगे फैलते हवे, और फिर कि हाँ पाक पाकिस्तान हिंदू भातार मुसलमान, to say कि the Hindu girls will get now the Islamic sort of husbands. And it is the same pattern, same thing, same call for jihad in the 1946, being published by a lot of magazines and through leaflets. To yeah, and you can see it even now, even in Kolkata. You know all these strategic places. The a large number of, for example, worshipping places are actually being established at very crucial military points, which Bengalis are not actually noticing so much. Now, for example, near the very entry of the Howrah Bridge, or the second Hooghly Bridge, you'll see big mosques right at the enter. Right? When you are trying to enter from this Howrah side to Kolkata, you will see right at the right near the beginning of the Howrah Bridge, there is a there is big mosque near the Howrah Bridge and also near the second Hooghly Bridge. And the demography are being changed, and all the similar things are happening. One more political thing that I wanted to discuss was the in it, which actually played a big role in the demise of the spirit of Bengal, was that Nehru Liaquat Pact, which was signed on March 1950. So you know what happened when in 1947 the partition happened. The idea was that, so near the in the Pakistan side, in the West Pakistan side, the Hindu population was less than 5%. But in the Bengal side, in the East Pakistan side, the Bangladesh side, it was more than would be more than 30%. Okay, officially I think it was 31%. Now the point is, then the Pakistani Ashrafiyas, the Ashrafi army decided कि we have to kill a few, scare a few to convert, and rest of them can flee to India. Because that 30% of Hindu population, many of them were well established, were taking part in the administration, and the West Pakistan and their army did not want that. So basically, when they were doing all these things to the Hindus, they were converting. And we have to mention here that a large number of so-called upper caste Hindus, they actually left the lower caste Hindus and came to Kolkata in 1947, 48, 49, right? So there, the lower caste Hindus were giving good fights. But then the Nehru Liaquat Pact was signed in March 1950, where which actually played a huge role in deciding the fate of Bengal. So in Nehru Liaquat Pact, if you look at it, there were like three main clauses. One was that the pre-1950 refugees were to be distinguished from the post-1950 refugees. Second one was that the government of India would provide rehabilitation to pre-1950 refugees only. So the post-1950 refugees, which are mainly Hindus, would not get any relief, would get only relief and no rehabilitation. Okay. And the third point was that the Punjab model of population exchange would be halted because, in Nehru's words, this policy was completely adverse to India's political, social, and spiritual values. um, what was the Punjab model of population exchange? It was a violent physical process where basically this side of Sikh side of Punjab, or the Indian side of Punjab, told the Muslim to just leave their place and just go to the other side of Pakistan. And as a result, you can see that even after so many disturbances and everything, the Muslim population there is only, I think, around 3%, less than 3%. While in Bengal, because this whole Nehru sort of insisted that, okay, the Punjab model of population exchange would not be exercised here, and the Indian government will sort of ensure that the Muslims of Bengal stay there. It actually played a huge role in two perspectives. One was that the Muslims who actually voted within Bengal to create a Pakistan, they stayed within this current West Bengal. Second point was that the Hindus who were in the other side of the Bengal, they started to get converted or killed. They started to go through these generational genocides for every reason. I mean, 1965 में कश्मीर में हजरत बाल में कुछ नबी मोहम्मद का आया कि वो जो बाल था वो चोरी हो गया है, ऐसा कुछ एक अफवाह फैला या कुछ घटनाएं थी जिनकी वजह से बांग्लादेशी हिंदुओं को मार दिया गया। 19 आई थिंक 49 48 में अफवाह फैला कि जो ढाका से एक मुस्लिम लीडर कैलकाटा आया है एंड ही वाज assassinated इन कोलकाता, उसके वजह से हिंदुओं को मार दिया। ऐसे करके मतलब ढाका, ये जो भी एरिया था, यहाँ पे जितने भी हिंदूज थे, उनके जो रथ यात्रा निकलता था, उनका जो दुर्गा पूजा होता था, सरस्वती पूजा होता था, सारा बंद करा दिया गया। इनफैक्ट आई एम गोइंग टू साइट यू समथिंग व्हिच इज दैट आई थिंक इन सम दिसंबर ऑफ 1950 कुछ अफवाह फैला जिसके वजह से विद इन हाँ 10th of February 1950 a rumor spread that a Muslim woman had been raped in Calcutta was brought in blood-stained clothes to Dhaka. Upon मतलब अफवाह फैल गया. Upon hearing this, violent Muslim mobs looted and burned 90% of all Hindu shops in Dhaka. Hindu jewelry shops were looted in presence of police officers. Around 50,000 out of 80,000 Hindus of Dhaka were dislocated and uprooted within 7 hours. ठीक है, 7 घंटे में ढाका खाली हो गया इन 10th of February 1950. उसके पहले 1949 उस टाइम पे ढाका से आई थिंक ढाका में आई थिंक लेट मी गिव यू द स्टैटिस्टिक्स. So this statistics was presented by Dr. Meghnad Saha in the Parliament of India post independence, post transfer of power. So when Meghnad Saab is writing, quote, now take the city of Dhaka, the biggest city in East Pakistan. It had a population of 2 lakh before partition. 70% were Hindus in Dhaka, which was 1 lakh 40,000. They owned 80% of the houses there. Now there are only 5,000 Hindus left there, and they have been completely forced out of their houses in Dhaka. सो ढाका एक हिंदू मेजोरिटी जो सिटी था जहाँ पे ये सब वेर large number of Hindu Bengalis were Vaishnav and many of them were wealthy. Within a month of partition, the Muslims started to attack every sort of processions, Janmashtami. After that, the Ratha Yatra. In 1949, there were posters all over Dhaka against Durga Puja, which is the most celebrated festival of Bengal. As a result, a large number of Durga Puja pandals also came down drastically. On Vijaya Dashami, Hindu houses were set on fire in 1949 by the hundreds, rendering as many as 750 Hindu families homeless. Communal mob also attacked Saraswati Puja Visarjan procession in Patua Khali in Borisal. So this was just going on. This was just going
Uh,
on and on.
Bijitda,
Uh,
Bijitda,
huh.
I'll just interrupt you a little bit because Devjaniti needs to go. It's a bit late
Acha,
for
acha.
her. So, Devjaniti, sorry for keeping you awake at late
Sorry.
night.
Yeah.
You can complete, if you have any closing remarks, you can please share with us.
Sure.
Yes, actually, it's my regards to the my co-panelists. Before finishing, I must say that both of them are. It's a very nice and enriching session. Very nicely going on. You go on kindly, and I will just finish off saying this. I will pick up a point from because Bijit is basically looking back on history, historical aspects, and giving a perspective to today's situation of Bengal. I will pick up a point from Shakko Singho. What he said that it is just 10 kilometers away from Dhulian, from Jafrabad, the houses of Harigobindo Das who died. The Bangladesh border is only 10 kilometers. This is a very crucial thing. You know, if if India is narrowest at the chicken neck of West Bengal, then West Bengal is narrowest at Dhulian. The Dhulian is a place of geographical importance also. I will just finish with this. If, as I said, that India, भारत में narrowest place is the chicken neck in West Bengal. लेकिन बंगाल का narrowest place धुलियान ही है. तो वो धुलियान एक तरफ धुलियान है, धुलियान के बगल में है पाकुर, झारखंड. Just beside Dhulian, it is Jharkhand border and it is Pakur there. And from Dhulian, if we walk towards the Bangladesh border, then within 10 kilometers we reach Bangladesh border. And Shakko Singho said that it is people full of people whom even nobody knows who all are there. You know, and only a handful of Hindus, like hardly a 25-30 families of Hindus. So, what is the target? It seems a very strategic attack. If they can remove all the Hindus from this area, this Dhulian, the west part, the Kamar hai, jo Bengal ka jo Kamar part hai, if from that
The middle
area,
part.
if all the middle part, yes, the narrowest part of Bengal, that is Dhulian and Bangladesh border, from Dhulian to Bangladesh border. So from that part, if all the Hindus are removed, then it turns into a Muslim only pocket through which they can reach Jharkhand and from within Jharkhand, then they can go ahead. It's like it seems as if the people are trying to create a wormhole through Dhulian, you know. And if there is no Hindu there, then nobody will go and report to BSF. BSF gets informed by the Hindus. In Kashmir, they gets informed by Wakkarwals, etc. And that is why, if we remember, then a little girl, Asifa, was killed. She was a Wakkarwal girl. She was an informer of the army and BSF. If the Muslim only part can be created, then nobody will inform the BSF. Not even a single Hindu, means no informer to BSF or police. So that is perhaps, this attack seems a strategic attack with long term vision. And that's what it appeared to me. It's a planned one. And that's all. And I wish all the very best to both the panelists and also Bhupendra. And I will just ask for the permission to leave, if you
Thank
kindly
you, Dev.
allow.
Yes, thank you, Dev Janity, and we will do a Bengali podcast on
Thank you
this
very
later
much.
as well. Thank you, Dev
Thank
Janity.
you very much. Thank you very
Hmm,
much. Yes.
hmm. Okay, so now, yes. So, Bijitda, you
Right.
can hold on.
So I think I discussed some part of the history, and just to give you a context that this is the same thing that is happening even now. So you know that basically the Muslim League partitioned India to create Pakistan, and Shama Prasad Mukherjee partitioned Pakistan to create Bengal, राइट तो ये दोनों मतलब जिन्ना ने भी पार्टीशन किया, श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी जी ने भी पार्टीशन किया, दो पार्टीशन का तरीका अलग था, फीचर अलग था, ऑब्जेक्टिव अलग था, एंड इट वाज एक्चुअली अ वेरी मतलब फार sort of site of Shama Prasad Mukherjee to create West Bengal, right? Um, on I think on June 20, 1947.
Yeah,
The point
Bijitda,
here is
I have one question for you. Actually, it's important to actually understand from a historical. I think not too many people have asked this question in various things. You have gone through the thousand-year history. Correct? You have documented it, researched it. Okay. Now, when you see, correct, when Devaldi mentions that they have a strategic long-term vision, what they want to do, and they are following up with steps. Okay, that requires leadership because the masses cannot do this in general. Okay, in general, masses can't do this. Now, what do you think? What ails the Hindu society to have the kind of leadership with the other people have? Okay,
right,
and why do we lack this leadership? Because this is something that I have been observing for many years, and not too many people have asked this question. So,
right,
what do you think historically? Why we are lacking leadership, and why we lack this long-term vision in general?
right. We lack the okay. So this question now, there is one part ki why are we lacking the leadership? Second part is how maybe an extension of it ki आगे क्या कर सकते हैं. So for the first part, I would say yeah we are lacking the vision because Bengal has been a political battlefield for a lot of ideology, including Islam, communism, then Taposili Party, Congress. You know now the ultra left radical parties that are ruling West Bengal, so to say, and then BJP is trying to enter, right? And all these ideologies, they don't tell you one thing: कि they are using Hindus as vote bank, and because Indian Constitution forcefully adopted during the emergency. I mean, it was enforced to adopt secularism. It is actually leading to sort of India being a Hindu genocide denier state. So India is a very, I would say, I think someone said this, and I'm quoting him. I think Ajay Chungruji. India is a very normal civilizational nation with an abnormal state. And this abnormal state is secular, not in the truest sense, but it's secular in a very perversive sense. And it is an accomplice in Hindu genocide. And in my book, I have shown it categorically with examples and chronology. So it is an accomplice in Hindu genocide, and it is furthermore a genocide denied state. So what India, and specifically the state of India, the Indian state has done to Hindus, it has categorically adopted a very external ideology of secularism, which has given so much representation to some foreign Abrahamic ideas, which are expansionist ideas. So it has given legality to those ideas. Then it has whitewashed 1,000 years of genocide. And when in the current Indian government is in no mood to sort of ask for apology before the Hindus, because it is the same state that has continued for 1,000 years. Because so initially in the medieval era, it was pretty much a Shariat state, and that form of Shariat was absorbed in the legal processes and sort of the law that were being created by British as per their own document. And you know that the same British administrative policies and law, those were later adopted by the state of the government of India, the current independent India, quote unquote. So, and you know that Shariat or British, I mean, preserving Hindu interest was not in their best, so to say, ambition or intention, right? So, Indian state is a Hindu genocide denied state. It is an accomplice in Indian genocide. It is not going to change the syllabus. So, and because of that, Hindus are in a trap, intellectual trap. They are not realizing ki, and you will see a large chunk of them who actually think ki all religion are the same and all these kind of craps, right? I mean, um, scientifically by logic, but whatever by whatever mean. I mean, really, there are different religions and they have different sayings. That's why they are different, right? They are just not identical because they are not identical. You have to understand all religion are the same. It is a narrative, and it is a false narrative. So I urge, and I know this is not going to happen as long as the syllabus does not include these things. Read these other scriptures, understand what are the frame of logic in those religion, how they think, right? And if our syllabus includes obviously the vices of a Hindu, Hinduism or whatever, this I mean already they include the Jativad and all these things in our syllabus. I'm not a casteist person at all. I am against casteism. I say it very openly. And I don't think casteism is a practical way of governing people. Maybe it might have existed in a lot of other places and in some really brutal form in Arabs and Europe and in Christianity as well. But it is not a practical form of government. I am okay with that. I'm not a casteist. But these things are in the syllabus to talk about, to talk vile about Hinduism, and then some subversive
Vijit,
narrative about the
just
Satis.
Vijit, just one
Mhm.
interjection. So, like when you talk about correct casteism, so like the idea there may be a million people, million books written on how bad casteism is, but unfortunately, the way it is created, again, it's a narrative. Even the
Right.
caste word is a Portuguese word; it's not an Indian word. It has
Agreed.
been used. Okay, so like we are going to there are a lot of people who are now talking about caste as a kind of false narrative, a kind of weaponization of caste as a narrative. So this book, let me just show it actually. So I'm going to read this book. This is a book, Sivasya Kulam. This actually talks about, when you read this book, this is a gift from a subscriber. We need to read this book and understand what caste exactly meant, okay, as
Right.
it is, rather than what
Right.
was
I mean, I'm
twisted.
against any sort of caste by birth and all these things. You will have right to worship only by birth, and those things are not there in Hinduism.
No, it is
So
not there.
right, it is based on gunas, right? The thing that you want to do. So it is not a birth based things. It is not a nepotistic thing. But anyway, I'm not going to into that thing. But these things are there in the syllabus. कि ये हुआ है,
Yes.
वो हुआ है, हाँ. तो फिर इस्लाम के बारे में डालो, क्रिश्चियनिटी के बारे में डालो. जब गैलीलियो को जेल पे रखा जाता है, वो धर्म की वजह से होता है. और लेकिन जो कास्टिज्म इंडिया को तबाह किया, वो हिंदू धर्म की वजह से होता है. इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट गैलीलियो इन योर सिलेबस, यू टॉक अबाउट क्रिश्चियनिटी ओपनली. Why don't you, when you are talking about Sati, you include the all the genocides and massacres that a lot of people, including Ghuri, Khilji, Bin Qasim, these people have committed historically because of, and they were practicing necrophilia. That's why the sati was sort of adopted by this. This is a misfortune of this country that this thing has happened. But मतलब ये एक fact है. These things are not a natural process through which it has emerged. कि हिंदू अपने आप ये सब करते थे. It has a historicity to it. तो वो सब डालो, इस्लाम के बारे में डालो, इस्लाम का हिस्ट्री डालो, इस्लाम का वायलेंस डालो, लादेन के बारे में डालो. क्यों नहीं डालोगे? ठीक है. So that is one thing we are, मतलब we should have expected कि whatever you call this current government a very nationalist government. I don't think so. They did not, मतलब वो बाहर के नाम चेंज कर रहे हैं. They are not changing the narrative of these books. You have to change the narrative of the book. सेकेंड पॉइंट ये है कि और क्या कर सकते हैं. सो इफ यू चेंज द सिलेबस ना, कम्युनिस्ट वाले क्या किए थे, ऑल कम्युनिस्ट डिड इन बंगाल, दे जस्ट चेंज द हिस्ट्री सिलेबस, दैट्स ऑल. History and literature on all these things. So just by changing the syllabus you can achieve it. You can create. ये जो 10 साल गया, 10 साल में एक पीढ़ी तैयार हो गया ना, जो इनके अगेंस्ट काम करेगा. तो तुम सरकार चला रहे हो और जो बुक में पढ़ाया जा रहा है वो तुम्हारा उल्टा नैरेटिव है, वो तुम्हें कोसते हैं एक्चुअली. ठीक है. दूसरा पॉइंट, आई डोंट नो, मे बी बिकॉज दीज आर नॉट इन द मैनिफेस्टो ऑफ दिस सो कॉल्ड नेशनलिस्ट पार्टी. Second part is, yeah, no matter who is there in the center, Hindus have to file something like a petition somewhere in court and have to wage a movement that will sort of force the government of India to acknowledge Hindu genocide. कि हम लोग हिंदू जेनोसाइड को एक्नॉलेज करते हैं एंड वी आर सॉरी कि द स्टेट ऑफ इंडिया परपिट्रेटेड वाज एन अकॉम्प्लिस एंड इट डिनाइड हिंदू जेनोसाइड्स एंड वी आर सॉरी फॉर दिस. फिर ये जो डिफरेंट सोशल स्कीम बनाते हैं, हुनर हाट, पता नहीं पसमानदा ये लोगों के लिए या फिर बाकी सबके लिए जो स्कीम बनता है, उसमें हिंदू स्पेसिफिक स्कीम तो है नहीं. See, with these identities, whatever you call it, OBC, SC, ST, Muslim, Christian, huh? These identities, they are there, but the states sort of they enforce it on us through different social schemes. एक मुस्लिम को मुस्लिम होने का फायदा इंडिया में मिलता है, इट इज एन अनडिनाइबल फैक्ट. तो हिंदू स्पेसिफिक स्कीम्स बनाओ. पहले हिंदू जेनोसाइड एक्नॉलेज करो, फिर बोलो कि ठीक है जो सोशल स्कीम हम लोग दे रहे थे, ठीक है 1000 रुपए भी दे रहे थे, अगर उसका नाम वो जेनोसाइड से जोड़ दो. ठीक है. अगर 200 रुपए, 1000 रुपए, 5000 रुपए कोई बेकार बंदे को दे रहे हो जो काम नहीं करता, टू लेट्स से वर्क ऑन सम आर्ट, लॉस्ट आर्ट ड्यू टू हिंदू जेनोसाइड, तो उस सोशल स्कीम का नाम उस हिसाब से रखो कि मान लीजिए मैं और आप बैठे हैं बगल में, हमारे अगर अकाउंट में 200 रुपए भी आ गया कि जेनोसाइड स्कीम है हिंदू जिसमें एक नाम लिखा होगा, वी विल कनेक्ट इंस्टेंटली कि हमें इस वजह से ये स्कीम मिल रहा है. इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ आवर आइडेंटिटी. इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ आवर आइडेंटिटी वी हैव गॉन थ्रू अ जनरेशनल जेनोसाइड फॉर 1000 years. इंडियन स्टेट इज ट्राइंग टू कॉम्पेंसेट. और इससे हिंदू आइडेंटिटी और एम्बोल्डन होगा. आप एक बात बताइए, अगर राम मंदिर बन रहा है तो मेरे गांव का जो रिक्शा वाला है उसको क्या फर्क पड़ेगा, अदर देन ऑब्वियसली कि ठीक है एक मंदिर हमारा बना है भगवान का, और कुछ क्या फर्क पड़ सकता है. तो वहां पे जेनोसाइड के स्कीम के थ्रू उनका पिलग्रिमेज कराइए कि राम मंदिर को तोड़ा गया था, जेनोसाइड किया गया था यहाँ के लोगों का, हिंदुओं का, तो जो जो गरीब लोग हैं उनके पिलग्रिमेज के लिए हम लोग इंडियन गवर्नमेंट पैसा देगा. ऐसे भी हर सब्सिडी आप दे रहे हो. और बंगाल में अभी ये तो चल ही रहा है कि जो मिशनरीज हैं दे आर एक्चुअली डूइंग इट। गांव से, पता है, गांव से चर्च घुमाने के लिए बस पे हमारे जो सोकॉल्ड लोअर कास्ट लोग हैं उनको चढ़ा के लिया जाता है। हल्दिया के एक चर्च है, वहां पे लेके जाया जाता है बस से, माकुड़ा से। रिमोट रिमोट गांव पे पहुंच गया ये सब चीजें। तो अगर कोई मिशनरी करा सकता है और आप उसे बंद नहीं कर सकते हो, तो ये तो खुलेआम ही आप जेनोसाइड कर रहे हो, डिनाई कर रहे हो, फिर एक दूसरा जेनोसाइड का वो एक प्लॉट तैयार कर रहे हो। ठीक है, आप एक बात बताओ, ये बॉम्बे देख लो, इसमें मैक्सिमम जो अनाथ आश्रम चलता है, मैक्सिमम मतलब लगभग सारे ही, वो तो हिंदू नहीं चलाता। तो ऑब्वियसली जो, मान लीजिए, जो ऑर्फेंस हो रहे हैं उसको कन्वर्ट किया जा रहा है। आप सोचो, हॉस्पिटल में कोई गरीब बंदा आया, इनके पास पूरे रिकॉर्ड होता है कि कौन गरीब है, कौन ये है, जो भी ये मिशनरी चैरिटी से चलने वाला हॉस्पिटल होता है। गरीब का कोई बड़ा, मान लीजिए इसका सर्जरी कराना है, तो वो बोल देते हैं तुम कन्वर्ट हो जाओ, फ्री में सर्जरी करेंगे। So these are the things that are happening, and these are illegal things by the very nature of them, right? तो इसके खिलाफ करो, मतलब कुछ कर ही नहीं रहे हैं। So we have to acknowledge genocide, we have to make laws to reverse the genocide, and उससे तो घर वापसी करने का भी आपको एक नैरेटिव मिल जाएगा कि इनका जेनोसाइड हुआ था इसलिए पासमानदा जो भी है ये समाज क्रिएट हुआ। तो इनसे जो लोग, जिनको लगता है कि दे वांट टू स्टे रूटेड टू दिस कल्चर, दे कैन डू द घर वापसी। ये तो गवर्नमेंट स्कीम बना सकता है वंस दे एक्नॉलेज द जेनोसाइड। तो ये
Yes.
क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? These
Yeah.
are my simple thing, and they are as true as, मतलब as much true in the context of Bengal as they are in the context of rest of India.
Yes. Thank you, Vijit. I think you gave a really good perspective, really good ideas which can be worked upon. Okay. I'll come back to Shakku Singh. You are available?
Yes, I'm there. Please tell.
Okay. So I'll come back to you. Okay, because you have like spoken to people, been there, seen. It's very important in the human sense to actually talk to people face to face, understand the emotions, and correct. We had a discussion regarding rehabilitation of people who have suffered violence or have witnessed violence in terms of their psychology and mental health perspective, which is actually not a lot talked about in many aspects. Okay, which I want this to be discussed also with Bijit. Will also contribute here because it is very important to understand people like us and me who have not witnessed violence, how it can change your perspective and how it can actually adversely affect somebody who is going through trauma caused by violence being done on them or they have witnessed violence. So in that context, you have spoken to people. I wanted to actually play the recording, but unfortunately the format is not supporting. So maybe we'll do it in our Bangla stream next time. And it's in Bengali anyway. So please give us a context, like how these people are doing in terms of dealing with the trauma that they have suffered, because we can never actually understand and feel the trauma that they had gone through by watching social media videos. That I want to tell people to understand, and maybe you can give us a bit more perspective because you have met them.
Okay, so in this particular case, when I asked about their trauma and all,
Hmm.
the thing is,
Okay.
their initial
Before wait. Before you proceed, we need to tell them that what Shakko Shingo is talking about, we had consulted a domain expert on trauma therapy for violent suffered people, and we took his suggestions and we took his consultancy to talk to him and how do we talk to these people who have suffered. So we are not doing it on our own. We have taken expert opinion and suggestions, and then we actually talk to people. So people don't go and talk to anybody just because you want to help somebody. You cannot do this. It is a specialized field where you need to talk to specialists, domain experts, who will help to you to form a process where you can talk to people in case you want to help. Please go ahead.
Okay, so as you mentioned, we actually
Hmm.
talked with Mr. Rajat Mitro, who is a clinical
Hmm.
psychologist, who is an eminent
Hmm.
speaker regarding this topic of
Hmm.
generational trauma and impact of the health, mental health of the Hindus who are affected by genocide. Now,
Hmm.
in this particular case, usually this kind of trauma and trauma that lingers over generation that happens in those populations who are completely uprooted from their motherland. For example, in case of Kashmiri Pandits, where it was very prominent. But in case of these people, their reaction was anger. Okay. So let me give you one example. Like when I was talking to these local people, they also mentioned about a specific village named Mahadev, where local Hindus were prepared. Some were prepared, you know, for this thing. Maybe because there is some RSS Shakha down there, and some people are already, know this kind of pattern that also Devjani ma'am was talking about previously. So there was this Mahadevpur. They actually gave a very good and fierce resistance to this jihadists because they had the local. They collected. Actually, they never got any supply from outside. So there are certain people who actually stood up to these jihadis and fought them, and they gave the same language back to them. So actually, in Mahadevpur area, not that much, atrocity happened. So in case of these certain places that are repeatedly talked about in the Bengali media, and the places that I have visited, those people were actually not prepared. So their reaction was grief, and they also told me this thing very clearly, ki, sir, amag to peak theke geche. We are already in back foot. Our backs are on the wall. So we have nothing to lose. They are carrying their Aadhaar card in their blouses, actually. And one house where we were going through, we found a OBC certificate, halfly burned. So we told them, "Arey, take this." So these people are actually mostly angry. They are in complete grief. They're not in denial though. They're not in denial. They're not like us and secular, upper middle class mentality where they know nothing has happened. This kind of, "Arey, ye to chota bhai hai. These are our small brothers. They do this kind of nonsense." No, they are not. They know this land is there and they're going to fight. When I ask them what will happen after BSF is gone, then they are clueless because they know Mamta Banerjee is there. Local boys are also telling you because these are politically, affected zones. They know that local TMC goons, local TMC leaders are, just beside these jihadis. They are supporting, not just supporting, they are helping them. They are giving them the local population. So they are mentally prepared. They are quite fierce now, and they will bounce back. The one point that you actually asked Vijitda regarding why there was no leader from Bengal who came up and actually stood for them. And that should be the common reaction. That should have been the common reaction after the atrocities that has happened in 1970, 1947 and later on in 71. I think there is two mentalities that we have to understand very clearly. First of all, Bengal partition was definitely, led by Shah Prasad Mukherjee, but there was Bangla Congress who actually also helped. And Bangla Congress Vidhan Sabha, if you look at the 1946 election or 97 election, where actually the decision of partition of Bengal happened, majority of the Hindu how would I say, the MPs actually, they actually went for West Bengal. So they were from Congress background, but they knew that this land is required. But when they got this land now, they actually created this out of their mindset. I don't know how and why. And this is actually we have to understand, examine, and later on we have to shatter it. We have to destroy this mindset. That now we have created this dreamland for us, where everybody is equal. Everybody is secular. Everybody has equal rights. And the refugee population who came to Bengal, Later on, by the communist people, they were indoctrinated this idea that the religion is the problem. And even till date, you will see many Bengali seculars, Maku Sheku, all these people as we call them, they are propagating this idea. They are saying that Dharma is the afim. That's Dharma is the problem. It's not a Muslim. It's not the Islam. It's specifically the Dharma itself.
Majab
So
is not Afim. Only Dharma is Afim.
yes, definitely.
Here
So
they
that is
say
that is the
Majab is
mindset.
Afim.
So Central Congress leadership was reluctant towards Bengal, as Vijita has very categorically mentioned that what they did and how they wanted the partition of Bengal. There might be much lobbies working. Bengali lobby was very much, very much wealthy. This kind of mindset was definitely there. But the problem was in central Congress government was not in favor of Bengalis. After the Congress was gone, there came the more deadly ideology of the communist people. They talked nonsense, they fed nonsense to these Bengali people, and eventually they erased their history. In our childhood, in class 9 or 10, we hardly read one or two lines about Shama Prasad Mukherjee, who actually is the founder of Bengal. So there the problem lies. We were not taught our history. And the leaders, unfortunately, we produced, unfortunately, who actually indoctrinated, took the political power of Bengal. These people were very clear in their mind that, okay, the religion part must be shredded out of people's mind. That is the problem. That is the reason we are having this kind of problems. And why no leader? Yes, because definitely for the political parties, when TMC came in power, there are certain people of Bengal who actually hoped that she will work for us. But she is a shrewd politician. She knows that from where she draws her power to stay in the seat of chief minister in West Bengal. So she's very clear about it. She speaks very clearly about the Dudhel guy. She knows that if she does any try to control this, jihadi mob of Muslims, that will affect her vote bank. She doesn't want to destroy it. Now, there is one good hope that I always have. If we look at the broad spectrum of Indian history, for last 800 years, we were under foreign rule. First by the Mughals and Muslims, later on by the British. And after 70 years of independence, there was, brown sahibs, as we call them, who were actually practically ruling India. They were mentally they were British. Jawaharlal Nehru was no less than a British official. I think Vijita will second this thing that in his mind he was a British. So this mindset went around. This Nehruvian concept of politics lingered around for next 70 years. And I somewhere actually support Brigida when he is actually criticizing this present central BJP government that even Narendra Modi ji also has a Nehruvian sort of Nehruvian mindset. That's why he calls about Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. So unless and until we, the people of India, get rid of this mindset that look, partition happened because of religion. And this, after 800 years of long fight, we got this land from Kanyakumari to Kashmir that we can call the only Hindu land of the world and our motherland, our Punyabhumi, as V. Savarkar told. So I know that for next 50 years or probably 100 years, Indian politics will, round about BJP. Either BJP will remain in power. If Narendra Modi goes, there's a line of good BJP leaders who are yet to come. I don't know what will they do, but I hope they will get rid of this mindset of we are all equal. No, we are not. And somewhere these atrocities, Pahalgaon atrocity that it has recently done, all these things is forcing the Hindus to become a proper soldier of the Hindu front eventually. This is what I believe. So I am not hopeless with that, but definitely in case of Bengal, we need an urgent change of CM. We need BJP in power, and the BJP must be very effective.
Yes, thank you. I think very pertinent points that you have raised, and they are very important points. What we were going to do is we're going to do
I
one more.
had one.
Yeah.
Dipesh.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you in 1 minute
Sure.
because this is important. We are going to do one more Bengali show because the content and the other language, the videos and the other things we have, they're all in Bengali. So we wanted to do an English and a Bengali show so that the people outside Bengal can actually understand what's happening and what people are doing. So we'll do a Bengali show as well, where we'll include a few of the content which is there in Bengali. Okay, and just to make sure to actually tell everybody that people who are listening outside West Bengal, okay, and even within West Bengal, that people who have actually suffered these atrocities, they are not alone. Okay, people from within Bengal, people from civil society groups, people from local people are there who are actually helping them. And in our Bengali program and even in our future programs, we are going to actually work with local groups and people who want to help these people in whatever way possible. We are going to make available a platform, okay, maybe some numbers and other things where you can actually contribute, and they will come and give us details, okay, of these, so that people who want to help these people, they can actually help them, and we are trying to make that happen. Yeah, Bijita, over to you. Thank you.
I want to mention here one more thing. I mean, whatever we have discussed so far was
Hmm.
primarily political. कि politics से क्या किया जा सकता है and all, and also कि our spirit to fight and everything. But we have to, मतलब, I wanted to discuss one more important thing that we need to understand in order to frame the logic of what went wrong with Bengal. ठीक है? It is actually, if you look at the Twitter profile of people like Gorgo Chatterjee, for example, you will see this guy in his Twitter. He has this map of this our Bongo area, which means he has this plan of greater Bangladesh in mind. So here is a guy like Gorgo Chatterjee who has a plan of greater Bangladesh, which means ki effectively there might be a Bengali Jamaat or Bengal Jamaat ecosystem that is at work. And we have to recognize it because it is actually very perplexing that a section of people, predominantly upper caste people, who came from other side of Bengal because of genocide, they came to Kolkata, right? They rehabilitated themselves. They were very hardworking, but then they started to actually make alliance with the communism. Maybe because they wanted to secure their land, right? Their position in Kolkata. But in the process, they brought communism. They brought communism to power in Bengal. Then they started to promote things like debauchery, promiscuity in Bengal cinema. They started to promote communism in Bengal cinema. I mean, it is really shocking that the Bengali literature, which was predominantly influenced by Rabindranath and who actually was a Upanishad Gopi. Like, if you see his work and if you read Upanishad, he in fact borrowed the words from vast like literature of Upanishad, Vedanta, and Ved itself. Now, from there, Bengalis have started, like, the whole ecosystem in Kolkata. They have started to influence the literature predominantly with communism type of poetry, communism type of politics, and then they started their these newspapers. Everywhere, this whole quote unquote Bengal Jamaat ecosystem, like the separatist Bengal Jamaat ecosystem, if I can call it, they started to perpetrate here. They started to sort of create a separatist sentiment, and this is really now rising with people like Gorgo Chatterjee and all these people who are themselves who have come from the other side of Bengal, and now they're creating a very separatist Bengali sentiment, a sort of Bengali nationalism to sort of separate Bengal even more from India. What communism did was they already created that sense of separatism with Bengal, कि Bengal को कुछ देखा नहीं जाता, which is somewhat true. But then this creation of this Bengali nationalism, we have to be very careful about it. Because asymptotically, if we try to project it, the Bengali nationalism can, right now, at the hand of people like Gorgo Chatterjee, it can only lead to greater Bangladesh. Okay. And maybe the plan is ki, okay, if there is a greater Bangladesh, there will be a place like small Chile like place for the Bengali Hindus or the Bengal Hindus who have come from the other side of Bengal. But that is not going to happen. So when we start to promote this Bengali nationalism or Bengali quote unquote separatism through things like Bangal Pokho or Bangla Pokho, we have to be very careful. We should not encourage these people who hate other section like Biharis, Gujaratis, Marathis for no reason. We have to be very careful not to share anything which is not in the interest of, not in the bigger Hindu interest, for example. ठीक है, we have to be careful about not sharing कि मराठे के साथ बंगाली का क्या झगड़ा. We should not go into those things. We know the history, but we should not blow it out of proportion. Okay, history is one thing, but we are trying to save ourselves. And everyone, Marathi, Bengali, Kashmiri Pandit, Manipuri, everyone is actually fighting this war of survival. Okay, and here our mutual civil war and all these things, even if they happened, we should not bring them to create a narrative that can blow out of proportion. That is my small take on whatever is going on. Like Bengal is even now being dragged into even more separatist sentiment, and that is actually a very red alert for everyone that I wanted to share.
Yes, thank you. I think you gave a very subtle point which actually missed while people outside in the outside West Bengal might not like they conflate Bengali identity with one identity, but there is a two identities which are there. One is maybe from East Bengali identity and West Bengali identity. The native people who are lived in West Bengal and people who came from East Bengal due to partition. Yes. So now.
Just here, I want to say one more thing.
Hmm,
Ki it may sound like unnecessarily we are bringing these things, but
hmm,
see,
hmm.
my humble submission is that ki people of our generation, इस जनरेशन में तो कोई ओदेशी नहीं है. So stop calling yourself odeshi. Stop using these kind of words. Ki odeshi, edeshi. No, they don't exist. Maybe your grandparent came like 70 or 50 years ago, but right now you're part of this land. So stop calling yourself odeshi. Stop giving fuel to anything that is creating a separate sort of Bengali nationalist kind of identity that people are trying to frame nowadays. Okay, it is not good. Bengal is a border state, and we are an integrated part of India. So when separatist people like this Gorto Chatterjee and whatever guy, we have to stop giving fuel to these people. Okay, मतलब ये नहीं है कि बंगाल का खराब सब कुछ हो गया तो बिहारी को गाली देना है. It's not needed at all. Bengalis अगर कोई बाबू आना जो अगर थे ताके we are भद्र लोग, right? These भद्र लोग बाबू people. तो इतना तो एटलीस्ट बचा लेते हैं अपना. ठीक है, मतलब कम्युनिज्म में गाली वाली इंट्रोड्यूस किया है बंगाल पॉलिटिक्स में, बट थोड़ा तो भद्र लोग यहाँ ना बचा लेते हैं अपना. एंड आई एम नॉट कॉलिंग एट ऑल कि घोटी बंगालिज्म नहीं है. ठीक है, बट बी केयरफुल. आई वांट टू से दिस स्पेसिफिकली टू बंगाल पीपल बिकॉज वो आइडेंटिटी क्रिएट करने के चक्कर में उनको उधर धकेला जा रहा है. सो you know कि you have a Bengal identity, but don't let it weaponize for anything to create a Bengali Khalistan like situation. It should not happen within Bengal. Like that is the least kind of thing that we would want right now amidst other gazillion problems in Bengal. So there should be one identity which is Hindu Bengali, Hindu in India, and we are fighting for our own sort of land. It is our Bhumiputra Andolan, and then we have a Republic of India that we respect and that we love because it is the only Hindu land that has remained after 1,000 years of perpetual genocidal wars.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so now we are going to towards the Q&A section. So we'll take final comments from Dr. Singho, and then we'll go for, there are a few questions. So we'll take this question and then we'll take closing comments. Shako Singho, yes, please go ahead.
Yes. So yeah, I want to add one thing with Vijida
Hmm.
that Bangal or this Bangal identity, these people actually what they can do, just like my grandparents actually told me about that what has happened with them. This idea that by generation and generation you are knowing that you had this land, and because of the Islamist and jihadist people, you had to leave it. You had to leave everything and come to this last homeland, last frontier of yours, up until that you have at least, where you can have a good fresh air. You can take it. You can practice your own religion. So I think that must be, from generation by generation, they must be administered this thing. So this is one request that I might have to the people who have migrated from present day Bangladesh. Now, one community regarding as Vijita was repeatedly talking about communists and everything. One important point is often neglected that the communist idea actually, you know, fed upon the concept of poverty. So they worked down there as those people who were refugees. They worked with them initially, and they talked with multiple things, and they talked. Look, you are in poverty. You are in very poor state. You are not because of anything other. Just because you were poor. This kind of mindset and religion is bad. Everything was there. So they worked in that domain. So present day Bengali Hindus, what they can do that these atrocity affected areas, we can take these people out from their cocoon and Dulian and all these places and gradually take them to the more Hindu populated areas. So that actually these nine, like for example, in case of Damdam, that is 90 to 98% Hindu populated, but still their TMC is winning. So we can take them from these places and actually make them interact with local people. Look, this has happened with us, and they are coming from you also. So this is my point regarding what can be done at this present state, and let's hope for the best. And let's go for the Q&A section where they can actually guide us to what to talk about.
Yes. So there are not too many questions, but there are one or two things which are there. So this is a very like not too many people know about it. He is actually not a Bengali person. So he asked a question: when did demographics started changing in Murshidabad? I think Vijita will give a like answer.
हाँ, ये तो जब मतलब 1,000 सालों का सीन है, बट जब ये नवाब का शासन चालू हुआ, when the नवाब rule started, तब से the conversion became very rampant. There are a large number of like for example Sufis and all these people, they started converting a large, so they started to make settlements, and they started to interact with farmers as well, for example. So a huge part of it was quote unquote peaceful. Some part of it was very physical and violent. But yeah, it has a history of at least 800 years. It started from there, but yeah.
Yes. So one more thing. Actually, I read about this thing. So 1947, when partition was taking place, actually, so you had Chittagong and Murshidabad. So Murshidabad was actually already Muslim majority in 1947 itself, and you had Chittagong, which was a Hindu majority area. So during that partition, something happened politically and otherwise, and the Chittagong went to Bangladesh, East Pakistan, and which was a Hindu majority place, and Murshidabad, which was a Muslim majority place, became part of India. So technically and demographically, 1947 onwards, at the latest least, it was a Muslim majority area. So it was, and it became worse and worse once since 1947 onwards. So that's what. So it was not something which happened in recent times. It is still 70 years. It was a Muslim majority area at that time itself.
Right. So Chattogram, for example, like the British wanted to give the East Pakistan a port, probably. That's why, but India should not have agreed to that. Actually, I must say it was a strategic mistake from so many persons. I mean, the very fact that the Congress and Nehru signed for this sort of stupidity, it actually shows how less geopolitical understanding these guys had, who were initially the ruler of this independent India.
I think it was like political rather than anything else. Like they wanted to grab power. That's the only thing they wanted. So
Right, right, right.
by any means possible. Okay, Bhushalidhi has mentioned what exactly is Modiji's policy? How is they have made such a mess of eastern border?
Who is going to answer that? Shakto?
No, no, I'm trying to answer. The thing is, what exactly is Modi's position? How is it that Mace was there? Okay, the thing that Vijay told, Liaquat and Nehru Pact. So from there it was seen. You know,
Right,
they were very reluctant regarding eastern border. They were very reluctant for the beginning. They somewhere respected that Western Pakistan's West Pakistan's Muslims are more dangerous than eastern part of Muslims. This is what I believe. Okay, the way I see this thing, and there is this concept among the leadership of present day India that eastern population of Pakistan, East Pakistan, is somewhere milder version, and this is very dangerous because now after Pahalgam, you can see that India will look towards West again because of this thing that Pakistan has done recently, the terrorist activity, and they won't look at the eastern border. But as we're staying in this state now, we know this thing very clearly what they're doing. There are regions and regions that are completely Muslim dominated. If you go by by how would I say by road route from Kolkata to Siliguri, that is NH12, I guess. The entire stretch from Barashat Bushirhat, that the Bengalis actually know, that is been infiltrated by the Bangladeshi Muslims. They are just Bangladeshi Muslims. There's so many of them. From this stretch to till Amdanga and Kalyani, this entire road route is actually blocked by the Musalmans. From Kalyani till Bethua Dori of Murshidabad, this stretch is Hindu populated area. From Bethua Dori, you are reaching to Palasi. Palasi is the place where recently one of my colleagues actually heard local people, local young boys talking about that why this atrocity is happening in Jangipur, why this thing is happening in Jangipur. If this thing has happened here, we would have looted something. Actually, this has been documented by one of my colleagues, and he spoke about this thing in a secret WhatsApp group. I'll send that chat to you. And he's not a some layman. He knows how to interact with people. He's a professional. He's basically a doctor. So he overheard this thing. So from Palashi till this entire, only Barhampur is a Hindu majority city till date now. After that, the entire stretch till Malda, that is completely Muslim occupied area. Julian, that is just beside this NH12 where this thing is happening. Na? This entire stretch is populated by the Muslim population. So engulfing us, and that is very dangerous. So, what is Modi's policies regarding Western Bengal? I think they are very reluctant. Yes, there is havoc resistance by TMC, as probably if people have listened to me, Mamata Banerjee and the government that she's leading, she won't let Modi do any good work here. But also there is a reluctance. That's it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
which
in
is
my
a
opinion, the defeat of BJP in 2021 state election, after that, Modi took it personally. So he came here, he came to Bengal a lot of time for the to do the voted prachar and all. But when the defeat happened, he then did after that he did not even write a single tweet other than accepting key and congratulating Mamata Banerjee. So I think he just does not care that much. I think he took it personally. And if there is a setting theory ki Modi Didi wala, maybe it is partially true. Ki Mamta is not going to expand beyond Bengal much, and Modi is not going to try hard in getting Bengal. So Bengalis have to fight themselves. I mean, it is a fight for the Bengali. I mean, for the Bengali, by the Bengali. Okay, and we are left with very little options. um, yeah, I mean, and whatever option we are going to adopt, it has to be political. We have to remember that, because now we can only change it, so to say, top down. Bottom up process, it is going to be very difficult, so to say. We have to create the right narrative. We have to create the right political system, and probably support right political parties that is going to play a big role in setting the narrative of the Bengal politics, in capturing the power, and taking proper sort of steps to reverse this Hindu genocide in West Bengal.
Yeah, thank you. I think there are 2 points which actually people who do not study a lot of things. There was a policy called Look East policy from central government 2001 onwards. Okay. Uh, 2014, when Modi government came into power, the Look East policy become Act East policy. Okay, at the policy level. Okay. So that is one thing. So at the policy level, in terms of central government's resources and manpower and hours spent on the eastern region, if you see overall in terms of, so one thing is very, very important for people to understand. From the Bengali perspective, we see ourselves as the maybe the focal point of eastern region. But if you see overall, BJP or the central government sees eastern region as a whole, including Bengal. So you have seen a lot of work being done in eastern region, including Assam, and a lot of infrastructure and other things are being built. So you have a Sagarmala project is there. Okay, so it's it's not a very simple thing to answer that what will happen, because there are a lot of things which are at play here. Okay, but one thing is very important to understand is that the answer lies, as Vijay mentioned, in politics itself. Okay, the people who are still sleeping, people who are awake, it is their duty to awaken the people who are still sleeping, because politics is the only way you can actually come out of this, not anything else. Until the politics wakes up, people, as correct Shaku Singh mentioned, we need to awaken the people. We need to take the people who have suffered and tell other people what happened so that they can be prepared for this. So it's not going to be any single initiative which is going to help the cause. It is going to be multi-pronged initiatives. We would need help from BJP. We would need help from other Hindu organizations. We would need help from social society groups. We would need help from every people who can help in whatever way possible to reverse this. To think in binary terms that only this can help or this can help may not work. We need all kinds of help at the levels, at all kind of level, to actually make it a real impact on ground. We'll take the
So I
last.
wanted to mention one thing. So I think I discuss it. So I was thinking of an idea called peripheral politics. So, what is peripheral politics? So, you know that since independence in 1947, it is the central politics of UP, MP, Rajasthan, Bihar, Jharkhand, Delhi, Himachal, Uttarakhand, Punjab, to some extent Punjab, that has dominated, and Maharashtra, that has dominated the Indian politics. But there are other peripheral states as well who were not very much comfortable speaking Hindi, for example, starting with Bengal, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala. So these states, they don't speak much Hindi, and these are sort of peripheral states. And among them, Bengal, and the case for Bengal and Punjab, which are again which has become weak state of post independence. I mean, Punjab and Bengal were probably the wealthiest states, but post independence, they have gone through such huge sort of downward decline that India need to acknowledge that these two states have gone through genocides. This acknowledgement is important because these two states have gone through so many traumas, right? Like for Punjab, you see the partition, then the whole riot, and then Khalistani movement. Bengal has gone through Naxalbari, huge political change, genocide by the communists, and then even now genocide by the modern like day dispensation. So Indian state need to acknowledge that these two states need sort of special care. We have to address the trauma in the mind of these people. मतलब इतना इतना तो कर दो, ठीक है, इतना करोगे तो लोग जागेंगे कि guys, you I know what you have gone through, you need help and we are going to give you that help with counseling, with proper speeches, bringing right scientific people. You have to address this problem of genocide, the partition genocide and other massacres that we have gone through in a very scientific way through counseling and other things, ठीक, जिसमें पॉलिटिक्स नहीं रहेगा, जिसमें प्योर डॉक्टर आएंगे, जो मनोविज्ञानी है वो लोग आएंगे, एंड दे आर गोइंग टू क्रिएट समथिंग दैट इज टू बी फेड टू सॉर्ट ऑफ पीपल इन पंजाब एंड बंगाल, ठीक है, जिसमें साइंस रहेगा ना पॉलिटिक्स रहेगा, बाकी फिर उस वहां से जो पॉलिटिक्स निकलेगा वो देखा जाएगा. सो दिस इज माय आइडिया
Vijit,
ऑफ दिस पार्टीशन थिंग एंड पेरिफेरल पॉलिटिक्स.
Vijit, I have a surprise for you.
हाँ बोलिए.
Have you read this book?
ट्रबल पेरिफेरी, अच्छा अच्छा, पेरिफेरी वर्ड इज बीइंग यूज्ड, राइट राइट राइट.
No, no,
वो
this is a very old book. This is a very old book, very important book, written by Mr. Subir Bhumik, who was the, I think, very high
हाँ राइट,
DIG.
I have listened to his lectures, right.
Yeah. So, but most people don't read his books. He has whatever you lecture you listen to him. There are 100 times more content there in his books that he has written
हाँ
in detail. So actually, he
right.
details it actually. So when you mention periphery, and it is generally in nature, correct? So if you are periphery to the center, there will be an alienation politically, and
Right.
that political alienation becomes something else, and
Crisis
you
and
will see
fight.
all, yeah, a lot of things will happen. There will be neglect, and there will be lack of communication. Anand, Shakku Singh had mentioned one thing which is important. He mentioned that there is a perception at center in Delhi that the western front is much more hot than eastern frontiers. And now understand why this perception is there. Because people who are representing the eastern region are all giving this message to the center that no, everything is fine. We are all Upper Bangla, Upper Bangla, everybody is hunky dory. So when you look at the holistically, at the like top, at the helicopter view of things, okay, things will look much more different than what we see when you see at the narrow point of view. So people who want to actually understand the eastern region and people who are not in Bengal, you can read this book. This book is available free of cost. The Troubled Periphery: Crisis in India's Northeast, and this is written around almost 20 years ago. This book. So this I was actually a lot of things are there. So you can read this book, and it will
Right.
give you a kind of right context. What was ailing and what was Northeast 20 years ago? What is Northeast now? You will see the difference in
Right.
terms of understanding. So people who want to read, we can
But I mean,
read this
ठीक है,
because
वो लोग काम कर रहे हैं, and see, people are doing all sort of work. It's just that government need to acknowledge these intellectuals and
yes, yes,
like
obviously
big,
it has to be done.
big institutional level things. You know, they have to create these institutions. हम लोग तो लिख रहे हैं, but like it is not reaching anywhere. That's the problem, right? मतलब
That
we know कि प्रॉब्लम क्या है, इसका इलाज कैसे हो सकता है, और ये इलाज फिजिकल वायलेंट इलाज भी नहीं है. वी आर गिविंग प्रैक्टिकल सॉल्यूशंस जिससे ये फिक्स हो सकता है धीरे धीरे. बट इट इज जस्ट, मतलब आई डोंट नो
that
कहाँ पहुंच रहा
will
है.
that will happen with politics, not without politics. Okay, we'll take the last question. This from Nina. He went to sleep, but we'll take his question. So, Bijit, to you, I have heard Sindh was not partitioned because Congress was not popular there, but Hindu Mahasabha was. Could it be true?
सो सिंध का केस एक्चुअली बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है. सिंध में क्या हुआ कि 1930s में देखा गया, तो ब्रिटिश हमेशा वो ये सेंसस कराता था. In the 1930 census, they observed कि for the first time Sindh में Muslim population actually started to dominate the Hindu population. Now here is a catch. Sindh was a part of the Bombay presidency, एंड सो सिंध का अलग से ऐसा तो सेंसस निकलता था, बट इट वाज पार्ट ऑफ द बॉम्बे प्रेसिडेंसी. ये जब नजर में आया कि सिंध के साइड में एक्चुअली मुस्लिम डेमोग्राफी, मतलब डेमोग्राफी चेंज हो रहा है एंड मुस्लिम्स आर डोमिनेटिंग हिंदूज, तब ये जो मुस्लिम लीग था, इन्होंने कुछ 13 प्रस्ताव रखे थे. तो मुस्लिम ऐसा होता था, मुस्लिम लीग यूज टू कम अप एवरी टाइम. तो ब्रिटिश यूज टू कॉल फॉर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स, तो दे यूज टू कॉल मीटिंग्स एंड मुस्लिम लीग अपने अपने प्रस्ताव रखते थे. और अंबेडकर जी उनके बुक पाकिस्तान द पार्टीशन ऑफ इंडिया में लिखते हैं कि मुस्लिम लीग जो भी डिमांड लाते तो कुछ तरीके से पूरा कर लिया जाता था. ठीक है. सो ये नोटिस किया गया कि बॉम्बे प्रेसिडेंसी का जो सिंध प्रांत है वहां पे ये डेमोग्राफी चेंज हुआ है. एंड देन मुस्लिम लीग केम अप विद दिस प्रोपोजिशन कि सिंध को अलग किया जाए. ठीक है, अलग सॉर्ट ऑफ बॉम्बे प्रेसिडेंसी से अलग किया जाए. वो किया, करवाया गया. एंड फिर क्या हुआ, फिर हाँ, सिंध में फिर जब इलेक्शन हुआ, फिर वहां देखा गया कि मुस्लिम लीग डोमिनेट किया था. इससे क्या हुआ कि हिंद महासभा का वहां चलता था, बट आई डोंट थिंक उनका वो लोग इलेक्शन में इतना ज्यादा कुछ मतलब मचा पाए. ठीक है. सो व्हाट हैपेंड कि सिंध फिर मुस्लिम लीग के हाथ चला गया. और क्योंकि वहां पे कोई श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी थे नहीं जो इस चीज को विजुअलाइज कर सके और वहां उसको काट के ले सके, तो फिर सिंध एक्चुअली पाकिस्तान में चला गया.
Got it. Okay. So I think we are almost 2 hours in, and maybe we'll do one more show in Bengali. Okay, because we need to do this Bengali in as well. Okay, we'll do this maybe in coming weeks. We'll do this. So over to Shakho Singho for your closing comment, and then we'll go to Bijita.
Okay, so thank you, Vijita and team Navami Mafra regarding this wonderful discussion. Uh, now I'm switching to a little bit Hindi because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
Go
will
ahead.
probably
Go ahead. Go ahead.
realize that I'm not that much good in English. So
Hmm.
anyway, but the thing is, देखिए मुझे ऐसा लगता है ना कि ये जो सेंसस वाला बात है, सेंसस आने के बाद से ही ना ये सब जितना भी लफड़ा स्टार्ट हुआ इंडिया में, ये सेंसस आने के बाद से ही स्टार्ट हुआ. ये मुझे मुझे जितना रीड है ऑफ हिस्ट्री, क्योंकि मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन को ना एग्जैक्टली पता नहीं होता है कि उनका तादाद कितना है. अभी दे कैन सेंस इट. दैट्स व्हाई दिस भरतपुर का जो आदमी है, यू नो, दिस भरतपुर बेलडांगा गाय ऑफ बंगाल, ये इतना चिल्ला रहा है. वो क्या बोल रहा है? वो बोल रहा है कि हम लोग 70% हो गए हैं. जब भी उसको ये कंफर्मेशन मिलेगा ना फ्रॉम 2000, अभी तो 20 में निकलने वाला था, बट मोदी गवर्नमेंट ने वो नहीं निकाला, क्योंकि शायद उन लोग को ये चीज पता है कि डेमोग्राफी वाला पार्ट आने के बाद से ये लोग ज्यादा उछलना स्टार्ट करेंगे. मुझे ऐसा लगता है, क्योंकि दिस प्रैक्टिकल रीजन, दैट्स व्हाई प्रोबब्ली दे डिड नॉट रिलीज इट. और मुझे जो लगता है ना कि हिंदू लोग को अभी जाके ना दे आर ग्रेजुअली अवेकनिंग। ये जो बात हम लोग कर रहे थे ना, ये 10 साल पहले कोई नहीं करता, कोई नहीं करता। 2015 में भी कोई नहीं करता था, 2005 में कोई नहीं करता। बट हिंदू लोग धीरे धीरे जाग रहे हैं। अब ये जागने का प्रोसेस हम तो है ही स्लो, स्लो प्रोसेस। क्योंकि स्लो इसलिए हम लोग है क्योंकि हम लोग वायलेंट नहीं है। मुसलमान वायलेंट है, इसीलिए वो लोग ज्यादा झड़कते हैं और बहुत जल्दी काम करने का सोचते हैं। अब ठीक है, दोनों का ही अपना अपना तरीका है, बट हिंदू अपने जो जहनियत जैसा है उसका, वो धीरे धीरे काम को लेता। अभी मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हर एक फ्रंटियर को हम लोग समझ रहे हैं कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट वाला पार्ट पे क्रिश्चियन लेके चला गया, बंगाल का ये मुर्शिदाबाद, मालदा, ये सब जितना भी जगह है, ये सब जगह को ये लोग खा के बैठे हैं। कश्मीर में ये सब चीज हो रहा है। तो ग्रेजुअली एवरीबडी इज रियलाइजिंग। इफ यू नोटिस कि अभी पैन इंडिया में भी 2-3 स्टेट के बारे में बहुत ज्यादा बात किया जाता है। दे डोंट मोर टॉक अबाउट द पॉवर्टी ऑफ बिहार के बीमारू स्टेट्स, ये सब है। दे टॉक कि बंगाल को बचाओ, आ रहा है ये सब बात, केरला को बचाओ और नॉर्थ ईस्ट को बचाओ, बात आ रहा है ना। देखिए, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ माइनॉरिटीज को रखा गया है किरण रिजिजू को, है ना, जो जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट के आते थे। बीजेपी ने एक काम अच्छा किया, जो पैन इंडिया लीडर्स उसमें बना है, हिमंत विश्व शर्मा, वो एक पैन इंडिया लीडर बन चुके हैं। जो हारा हुआ नेता है साउथ का अन्नामलाई, उसको प्रमोट किया जा रहा है ना। तो पैन इंडिया लीडरशिप को धीरे धीरे उठा रहा है और डिफरेंट लैंग्वेज से। हेमंत विश्व शर्मा डजंट स्पीक फ्लुएंट इंग्लिश और इवन बंगाली, हिंदी। उनको बस एसएमएस बहुत अच्छा आता है, बाकी जितना भी टूटा फूटा हिंदी में वो बात करते हैं, बट काम कर रहे हैं ना। उनको पैन इंडिया लीडर बनाया गया है ना। तो यस, आई एम एज ऑलवेज आई एम वेरी हेल्पफुल बिकॉज लुकिंग एट द ब्रॉड स्पेक्ट्रम ऑफ हिस्ट्री, जैसे भूपेंद्र ने यहाँ पे बोला है कि अगर हेलीकॉप्टर व्यू से देखे तब मुझे लगता है कि यस वी आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग। जब ये सब रायट्स हो रहे थे ना, तब ना कोई आरएसएस था, ना कोई उनको जाके ये बोल रहा था कि भाई तुम लड़ो और मरो, जो भी करो पर लड़के मरो। ये बात आ रहा है बंगाल में, लड़के मरना पड़ेगा तो मरेंगे। ये जो लोग से मैं बात करके आना, ये लोग बोल रहे हैं मेरे पास और कुछ है नहीं, अब आएगा तो मार खाएगा। बात आ रहा है ना ऐसा। शुभेंदु अधिकारी वो वहां जाके पहुंचा ना, मैं हम लोग जब गए थे उस टाइम सुकांत मुजुमदार वाज देयर वाज वन मीटिंग दैट हैपेंड ऑफ 15 मिनट्स, जहाँ पे स्टेट प्रेसिडेंट, एक स्टेट प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ बंगाल वाज इन जाफरागंज एंड ऑल दीज हिंदू, हम लोग की तरह जो भी है, वी वर मीटिंग हिम। तो हो रहा है ना बात। वी हैव टू कीप इट गोइंग, दैट इज। जो भी हम काम कर रहे हैं उनको बस कंटिन्यू करते जाना है, बाकी भगवान के जो मालिक है सब कुछ हो ही जाएगा। दैट्स इट।
Yeah, thank you, Bijit.
हाँ, मेरा भी वही पॉइंट है कि नैरेटिव 10 साल पहले जहाँ पे थे, हम लोगों का जितना समझ था, राइट, समझ तो अभी काफी ज्यादा बढ़ गया है टू द एक्सटेंट कि मतलब मैंने एक बुक भी लिख दिया, आई वाज नॉट मच इनटू हिस्ट्री। तो अगर मेरे जैसे बुद्धू लोगों को समझ में आ रहा है, तो बाकी लोग जो डिस्कस करते हैं पॉलिटिक्स दैट एक्टिवली, उनको तो समझ में आ रहा है, ठीक है। और बिकॉज ऑफ दैट कि इंडिया में एक जागरूकता आया है, we know कि what is our identity and what sort of genocide, मतलब वो जो एक बड़ा सा एक, पहले क्या होता था, इंडियन हिस्ट्री को देखने का एक कोई सिंगल वॉच टावर नहीं होता था। नाउ वी हैव गॉट अ सिंगल वॉच टावर फ्रॉम विच वी आर लुकिंग एट दिस वास्ट ओशन ऑफ इंडियन हिस्ट्री। और इससे पता चल रहा है कि हम लोग कैसे श्रिंक हुए हैं, कहाँ कहाँ बड़े हैं। तो अभी भी 120 करोड़ है, कोई कुछ करे ना करे, ठीक है। इंस्टीट्यूशंस थोड़ा कम है, तो थोड़ा इंस्टीट्यूशंस में आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा, उनको थोड़ा कब्जा करना पड़ेगा, नैरेटिव में थोड़ा कब्जा करना पड़ेगा। यू कैन सी द बॉलीवुड एक्चुअली रिसीडिंग एंड स्टार्टेड, मतलब दे आर ऑल्सो स्टार्टिंग टू प्रोमोट प्रो हिंदू, मतलब छावा जैसा मूवी आ रहा है जहाँ औरंगजेब को बिल्कुल मतलब डार्क विलेन की तरह दिखाया जा रहा है। दीज आर द एक्चुअली मतलब द विन ऑफ आवर विक्ट्री ऑफ आवर नैरेटिव। और ये इसलिए हो रहा है क्योंकि पहली बार शायद हम लोग वो जो छोटा मोटा नैरेटिव चलता था कि बंगाली है, ये है, बंगाली कोई मद्रासी का मजाक उड़ा रहा है, बॉलीवुड तो सब लोगों का मजाक उड़ाता था, वहां से हम लोग खुद को सीरियसली ले रहे हैं, ठीक है। तो ये विक्ट्री तो हो रहा है नाउ। बंगालीज विल हैव टू सॉर्ट ऑफ कम फॉरवर्ड, हिंदू बंगालीज। और ये धीरे धीरे जो भी इकोसिस्टम, इसको बदलना पड़ेगा, सिलेबस चेंज करना होगा। मैं तो चाहता हूँ कि सिलेबस चेंज हो, मतलब जेनोसाइड रिवर्सल पॉलिसी ये अडॉप्ट करना होगा, मानना होगा हिंदू जेनोसाइड हुआ था, और यहाँ से फिर पॉलिटिक्स को आगे बढ़ाना होगा। वन मोर थिंग आई वुड लाइक टू से इन द एरेना ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स, जैसे आप देखोगे कि जो जो पॉलिटिकल स्पेक्ट्रम है उसके लेफ्ट साइड में कितने सारे पार्टीज हैं, एंड दे आर कमिंग विद, दे कम अप विद देयर ओन नैरेटिव, राइट? नमाजवादी, समाजवादी, हाँ, टीएमसी, डीएमके, एआईडीएमके, पता नहीं क्या क्या तो क्रिएट करके रखा है लेफ्ट साइड में। राइट साइड में हम लोग ये सोचते हैं कि यार एक पार्टी है और ये सही है, ज्यादा पार्टी होगा तो हिंदुओं का वोट कट जाएगा, एंड आई डोंट एग्री विथ इट। लेफ्ट साइड में इतने पार्टी है, इसके बावजूद बीजेपी अभी 240 है। ऐसा नहीं है कि बीजेपी एक पार्टी होके कुछ बहुत बड़ा काम कर दिया। मैं, ऑल्दो इट साउंड पैराडॉक्सिकल, बट जितना लोकल लेवल का राइट विंग में पार्टी रहेगा, छोटा मोटा कोई भी पार्टी हो, जितना पार्टी भरेगा ना ये जो राइट साइड ऑफ द पॉलिटिकल स्पेक्ट्रम, उतने सारे नैरेटिव आएगा, और वो नैरेटिव इंपॉर्टेंट नैरेटिव होगा। हिंदू कभी भी सेपरेटिस्ट नैरेटिव नहीं बना सकता, एंड कोई सेपरेटिस्ट नैरेटिव कभी हिंदू नैरेटिव, सनातनी नैरेटिव नहीं बन सकता। सो मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि जो लोग बनाएंगे, चाहे वो कहीं से भी आ रहा हो, चाहे वो कर्दी सेना से भी आ रहा हो, वो नैरेटिव हमेशा थोड़ा यूनिफाइंग हिंदू नैरेटिव होगा। और मैं चाहता हूँ कि राइट साइड ऑफ स्पेक्ट्रम ज्यादा से ज्यादा पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से भरे, ऑल्दो इट साउंड
विद दैट
पैराडॉक्सिकल, बट
विद
इट
दैट
इज नीड ऑफ द आवर।
मैं बस एक पॉइंट ऐड करना चाहता हूँ इसमें। आप थोड़ा नोटिस कीजिए कि ग्रेजुअली, एटलीस्ट इन केस ऑफ बंगाल, एक्सेप्ट बीजेपी, टीएमसी, कांग्रेस, सीपीएम, आईएसएफ, मी, everybody is fighting for Muslim votes. समझ
एग्जैक्टली।
रहे हैं ना? सबका प्यारे है मुसलमान। तो मुसलमान का वोट तो इवेंचुअली वो लोग पटाएंगे ही, आज नहीं तो कल। कितना दिन वो लोग उनसे होगा। अब ये हो सकता है कि ये सब लोग एकजुट भी हो जाए और एक पॉलिटिक्स में रह भी जाए, ये हो सकता है। बट इन द मीन टाइम अभी भी 60 to 65% हिंदू है ना बंगाल में, सब एकजुट हो रहे हैं टुवर्ड्स बीजेपी। समझ रहे हैं ना? हिंदू का कोई दूसरा पार्टी नहीं है। हिंदू ये अच्छे
राइट।
से जानता है। हाँ, थोड़ा बहुत कम्युनिस्ट जो भी है, जो भी कर रहे हैं, थोड़ा बहुत लोग कम्युनिज्म को वोट दे रहे हैं। आप थोड़ा पहलगाम वाला इशू पे देखिए ना, उसमें कितना एलिट जो पहले अपने आप को सेकुलर बोलते थे, वो ओपनली आके बोलने लगे। इतना हद तक बोलने लगे कि कांग्रेस, सीपीएम वाले, बहुत सारे लोग का मैं कमेंट्स देख रहा हूँ, फेसबुक पे आ रहा है कि आप लोग पहले अपने आप को सेकुलर बोलते थे, अब सेकुलरिज्म आप लोग का छूट गया, तो पहलगाम में अटैक हुआ इसीलिए। लोग समझ रहे हैं ना? तो हिंदू बट नहीं रहे हैं, बटेगा मुस्लिम वोट ही, क्योंकि
सही बात
सब
है।
उसके पीछे पड़े हैं। सब
सही
उसके पीछे
बात
पड़े,
है।
सबको समझ में आ गया यही वोट बैंक। तो चलो ना, जाओ मुस्लिम वोट को खाओ, बाकी हम लोग देख लेंगे।
सही बात है। हाँ, इट इज वो, मतलब इज जस्ट दैट कि बीजेपी को कितना पुश कर सकते हैं, बात यहाँ पे आता है कि बीजेपी का पॉलिटिकल
एग्जैक्टली।
नैरेटिव जो है उसको कहाँ तक पुश कर सकते हैं हम। उसके लिए हम लोग राइट विंग पार्टी की बात कर रहे हैं कि इट्स नॉट लाइक कि हम लोग विक्टोरियस नहीं होंगे, विजयी तो हम लोग होंगे, कितनी जल्दी होंगे उसकी बात, क्योंकि एक डेमोग्राफिक वो जो इम्बैलेंस क्रिएट हो रहा है उसको भी एड्रेस करना है। सिर्फ उसी वजह से हमें जल्दी है, अदरवाइज वी आर गोइंग टू
एग्जैक्टली।
विन दिस वॉर। आज जब ये पहलगांव का बात आया, लड़ाई का बात आया, इसराइल तो सामने आके खड़ा हो गया ना, हुआ ना, मतलब। सो इंटरनेशनल जो भी, एंड इसराइल, मतलब दे आर वेरी, Jewish people are very wealthy people. Now they are standing behind India. तो वो एक नैरेटिव की जीत है, ये हमें मानना पड़ेगा। दे आर, वो ओपनली सपोर्ट में आए हैं। तो हाँ, मतलब दिस इज आवर शॉर्ट, आई डोंट नो, सबमिशन टू दिस।
Yes, yes. So, okay. So, before we end, one thing which we need to remember that politics, politics of a region or a nation or of an ethnicity depends on the political awareness of that specific group. And politics is run through political parties and non-political entities. If you dissect politics as a political science subject, you will see politics is driven by non-political organizations, and also politics is driven by political organizations. And both of these take generations to build over time. And if you see, a lot of people say 2014 is a kind of a liberation of Hindu society in a way, where Hindus got their voice to speak something about it. A lot of people say about it. So we are in a phase where the political parties that you talk about, the left political parties, they were actually set up not as a organic parties, but as a function of political propaganda and political narrative building process. It was funded and held by the state itself. If you remember, Congress Party is a British British Raj creation. Communist Party is a British Raj creation. So when you talk about political parties as let's you want to get a party today itself. Remember, these left parties are a functioning of a state ecosystem which was running for last 50 years. So when you say build a party and replace some political party, it will take you 30 years to do that. So you need to have a short-term goal, mid-term goal, and long-term goal. In short-term goal, you cannot have uh, any option apart from the existing political option, but we have to build in next 15 years another option where we can have multiple political parties. But in short term, we have to think very rationally. Yes. So we'll end our things today here. So thank you, Shakur Shingo. Thank you, Bijitda. And thank
Thanks
you
a lot.
also, thanks to Janidhi as well. She is not here. But it was a really good discussion. And we are going to
Yes.
have a part two of this discussion in Bengali, maybe next week or next week to discuss more about it. Because a lot of things which needs to be told to Bengali people as well.
Right.
Okay. So thank you. Bye. Jai Shri Ram
Thank
and
you.
Vande
Thanks
Mataram.
all. Jai Sri Ram.